So hopefully I am live. I just need to test it out. I have added the noise cancellation things to the audio and let me check if that works out well or not. Yeah, that looks better. I'll just increase I'll just increase the volume and hopefully that should be good. Yeah, so now we are better positioned to record. But there are still background noises. So I'll just lower it down and I'll increase my volume so that doesn't cause any disturbances. So that should be good now. There are still a little bit of noises there, but we can go with that maybe. I'm just shutting out the screen. Just give me a second. So do I increase? Yeah. Okay. So this is what are we going to do here? And let me quickly go to this. So I've not named my static site generator SSG, but that will be changed soon. Let's see what we can name it. But that's a different thing. And okay, that looks okay. So that is the initial setup that we have done. And let me check if anything else is remaining here. That looks good. Just a second. All right, so sorry for the delay, and yeah, let's get started. It looks a little off. No, yeah. So uh, now what we left yesterday was the plugin system, right? We were not able to create that plugin system, but I just spent 5 minutes after on the stream, and I was able to get that thing running, which was uh, to load the plugins dynamically from the file system, and that works. So yeah, how I did, I just explained that quickly. So in here, I have created one file called plugins. So it's a folder, and I've created a plugin file here. And what I did here is simply created this map called plugin registry, which will be a map of string with a list of sorry, the type of that plugin that will be used as the uh, structure that will be used to create like the type of the interface that we are implementing. So in this case, let's say the plugin name was base plugin, and this base plugin is a structure. As you can see here, this should implement two things, that is the name and execute. Name is not required, but I've just kept it. So then what it will do is it will take in that uh, so it will just create a map of those plugins and use it to store the type or the structure name of it. And while registering, that is, we will call this function in our load plugin function that we have created in main.go. Hold on. So I'll open this. This is the main.go, and I'll open plugin.go. Okay, and here you can see I've written the function load plugin. This is a bit too magnified. Let me close this. Okay, so first we call this load plugin function. So this plugin is just a name that we have taken from the config. So it should not. So this won't have the actual structure name. It will just be a name of that. So once we call this function, we have now need to get the plugin type, or I should say the name of that plugin or the structure of the plugin. So what this get plugin type will do is it will go ahead and grab the plugin type from the plugin registry. And now how you would say how the plugin registry registers all the plugins. So I have changed that structure or the plugin structure. If you would go into plugins slash hello.go, and you would see here I have called this function init that will be called when we initialize this uh, not package, but yeah, it could initialize it when the package is initially loaded. So we'll register the plugin with the name of it that will be used to provide it, and the type of the hello plugin that will be sending here. So instead of creating a singular list, we are keeping track of the so we are here sending the plugin type, that is the plugin structure from the plugin that we have written in this file itself. So this is quite manual, but we can create some sort of template that when users enters the command, let's say create new plugin, this will basically create some sort of text file inside of plugins folder, and it will be a base plugin, and the user can override the function, override the name and the actual implementation, because the implementation will be empty. So maybe I can create something called base.go, and what I would do over here is simply uh, so this will be the base plugin, and let me go a little back and paste in here. So this will be a package plugins, and base plugin is redeclared as a block. Okay, so here we need to remove this, and yeah, that will be that. But now we need to import the models. Let's import that, and also we need to register this if we wanted to really do that. But since this should not be an issue, we'll keep it imported, but it's not doing anything. As you can see, the execute method is empty. If the user wants to create his or her own plugin, he can write the code here. So we'll say write the plugin here, and for now let us comment it out. But the user needs to uncomment this. So I'll create uncomment this. We could do much better here, but anyways, okay, that will be required. So we'll import that, and yeah, that is the base plugin structure that I'm looking forward. And if we see um, plugins hello.go, it is written in a similar fashion. So back to main.go, and you can see the get plugin type. What it will do is it will check if that plugin registry has that plugin type within that map, and if that exists, then we just return that, and if that isn't the case, we just log it out or whatever you want to do from there. And with that plugin type, we can grab the like the actual type of it. So this new type will get the value of that type, and we want that outer interface of it. So every type should have some of interface. So let's say the integer type implements the base integer class, right? And similarly, our structure. So this plugin value, if it implements plugins.plugin interface, then we say that plugin instance is good to go. Otherwise, that is not a valid plugin for our use case. So that is the load plugin function, and so at the end of this function, we just return the plugin instance. That will be the type, the structure that is implementing the plugin interface. And once we have that, we simply register the plugin structure. See, so we are doing it over here, right? We are registering the uh, actual the structure for those plugins, and we can now refactor this to have its own plugin and use this singular function to call all the plugins. But I'll do that later on. But I first need to do I just want to do the few things that I want to load that database plugin. So we'll be doing that. Um, yeah, that is what I did last stream, and now uh, I'll show it by running this as well. So go run main.go, and as you would see that we have loaded all the plugins and we are running them as well. So running plugin, hold on, why it is showing. So we first call this. So this, where is the uh, Okay, we would also like to add in the name, which we have not, I guess. So, how do we do that here? So, plugin instance, we have actually given the name of it. So that should not be an issue. You would see here that we are getting the plugin name as empty, which is to say that it is not initialized. This executing hello plugin is from the actual function. So, sorry, the actual plugin. So if you would see plugin hello.go, and you will see that here we have written the name of it, and here it is initialized. Oh, okay. So plugin, we want to register this plugin, right? So how do we do that? So let us create a plugin here with yeah, this one, uh, and then let's say, so we providing the plugin and the plugin name. Actually, we need to do something here, which is okay. We can't do it here. Neither we can do that. That will be a little bit trickier to do than expected. So let me go here and so so how do we set the name of plugin here? So here we get the plugin type, get plugin type. So what does this do? Actually, you know what? Like Okay, so inside of register and in execute all, we take in the plugin and we get grab the plugin name, which says to me that it doesn't have the plugin instance set correctly. Maybe let me print out the plugins first. So indeed it is empty here. You will see that. So we want its name. Actually, so let me go here and we would like to register this, right? And here um, we are getting it via this, correct? So once we have that, if I just want the plugin instance, actually I don't want the plugin instance, I want the plugin value, which reflect.new. Plugin type is plugin type. This reflect package I need to understand more clearly because I don't have understanding of how it works actually. Plugin value, let's print out plugin value. I'm not sure what it is actually doing. So it doesn't print out anything which is expected maybe. Let me go into here and so you would see it has no name here and that strikes a little upstanding situation maybe. So we have plugin type. You know what? Let us try out how to do that actually here. That was a good call, maybe. Do we run that individually? What do you say? Maybe yes. And now, okay, that will be a little tricky. Running plugin, maybe. That's kind of cheating, right? That is kind of cheating. We shouldn't be doing that. Maybe execute all. So yeah, let's leave that right now. That is kind of annoying for the part. Let's stick to the other plan, which is to load the database. Okay, yeah, let's do that later on. Let's start with the database implementation. So let me think first how we are going to do that. So now we have this all plugins set up. A lot kind of, but they are plugins now. So now we need connect the we don't want to connect it as connect things like fetch every time the database, but we need to start the actual flow of it first and then start with the data structures because that will be quite helpful. So I'll show what it should look like and then I'll try to implement it. So first there should be an editor page. Then this will be just a static page with some form of interactability that will be defined either by JavaScript or HTMX. So we can use HTMX in this case to post request, like to submit a form that will be generated by the editor. And editor will mostly have two fields, the title and the body, and that will be it. I will keep it simple here because we can go wild with the body itself because body can have front matter inside of it embedded as well. So we could do that inside of it. So body could be a single text input, and we could go ahead with that approach. And once the user clicks the button or submit or create the post, we simply need to call one endpoint that could be a cloud instance or it could be a JS embedded code. Or so it's so we need to have some form of some layer of authentication in this uh, call because we cannot allow everyone to send the request and populate the database. So here we need to have some form of authentication that will be usually done with the name and the password of the author and the password. And so now that is done, we would like to add in one table in the database that will be author and that will have the hashed password and the name of the author. So that's how we will be using to authenticate to the database. And now my question is how do we call the database? It could be either from like a crowd or a crowd function call, or it could be directly from the JS because we can interact with SQLite using JS, but but the issue with that would be what could be the issue? So we are sending in HTMX request and we expect HTML output. That is the issue. Yeah, if you want to go with HTMX route, we need to have cloud function call. Else you can go with direct call via JavaScript. Let me think about it. So here we can have two options here. Maybe I'm still thinking. Uh, so here we are seeing that we have two options here. Either we could send it via HTMX or just JS. With HTMX, let's say we click the button and oh, okay. So with HTMX, we need a URL that we will hit, and that URL should be uh, like it cannot be a database URL. It could be, but like that will be basically like okay, that will I think HTMX could handle that. HTMX JSON response. I think it does handle JSON response as well. Not sure. Handle JSON response results in HTMX. That is like a weird thing, but like it's against what HTMX is really serving, but that user experience is really nice. I would say, like developer experience maybe. So okay, it calls in the clicked endpoint, and it this is the example. Example. Writing the HTML. Yeah, this is what we will write. We will just attach this button to a form, and that should be good. Now I want to see where how we would load in the JSON. If we are able to do that, then nunchucks. What is nunchucks? I've heard it about it, but so what is it doing really? So this is fine. So you can see it is sent hxget to https API GitHub.com user Marcus at localhost gist and nunchucks template gist list. So you have created one template that will is it this one? It said it was called gist list. Where is that? Okay, script ID just list, that is what it's trying to refer to. And script ID just list types on chunks for just inches. How does it get disks? Okay, I see what it is doing. It is trying to use uh, objects here, like templating kind of thing with JSON response. That is understandable, but what is it actually written? Where it is actually written? Like Lunchbox template with just list, and is that it? But how? Let's assume that is possible. Okay, I don't want to go too much technical details here. So let's say that was possible, and we click the button and we send a request with a response, a request to the database, which will be LibSQL on Turso. And Turso has one HTTP client that we can send request to, and it will respond us with the actual response. That will be like in the form of rows and columns. That will be JSON. And in this case, we don't want the response actually. We just want one key, which will be 200. That is 200. We serve it. The post was created, else we say it was unsuccessful. But the question is, uh, the question is that we send we send a request to the database, but how do we authenticate it? Now, it also should have one, uh, I believe, one like API just for authentication. So yeah, TypeScript. Let's refer to TypeScript maybe. We'll no, not TypeScript, not TypeScript. Remote protocol. Um, yeah, that is what I am referring to. So here you would see that there are create JSON request payload. Oh, can't directly hit it. I thought we could. Yeah. So it does. So let's start. Let's add at the max. We will be adding some JS. That is fine. And let's scrap HTML for a while. But that is that. We'll send it this way. Okay. Token. That will be the issue because we don't want to expose our token. Maybe you know what? We should have cloud function for this because that will be the safest way to do this. As we don't want to expose our token, we can. create cloud functions and store the authentication token from in the environment variables, and whenever request comes in the cloud function, we call this function that will basically uh, hit that database endpoint, and first it will check out for if the user is really authenticated, that is not authenticated but yeah authenticated, like it provides the username and password. If that username is an author in the database, we need to check the password. If that matches, then we only create that record for the post. um, that is fine, like I am okay with it, but I am thinking, could we remove that abstraction for cloud functions? And that looks a little trickier to do because authentication token will be required necessarily because that will be hosted on Turso. But if it's a local SQLite file or a LibSQL file, we could do that without authentication token if you are self-hosting the LibSQL database, right? Hmm. So what are we thinking about? So the issue is like we don't want to um, like call the database like in public, right? Like we cannot do that. We need to store the token somewhere. Um, that is the most safest way, I would say. But like it is just a, I mean, it could be a little complicated than that. Like it's not just a static site, but it could be used for other purposes. So we need to make the database secure. That is for sure. And to authenticate that, could we use GitHub somehow? Like a local, not a local. So uh, I want to like we can embed the database from. No, that will be bad. That will be bad. I mean, that couldn't be bad because it is open source, but not everyone can write to that database or make. Oh, okay, no, that That couldn't be an issue unless we are storing passwords just as text. So what I'm thinking is on GitHub somewhere on the version control system, wherever you want to put it, we will keep the database, and just like we render the HTML templates, we could load in the SQLite file and use that directly to save posts. That is one way, but um, it's secure or not, that is a different question. But it is one way, it is a way to do that. It's not a safe way, I would say, but it is one way to do it. Uh, could do that. So let's not let's not get too much complicated here. Let's start with the basic version, which will be to use cloud functions. Um, I'm okay if you want if you just want a proper working uh, version, then we should go with the cloud function route, right? Maybe. Yeah. So let's stick to one thing. I don't want to confuse myself here. So one route will be mm here we have editor. Here we have content that will be the user uh, typed in content, send user consent, not consent, user authentication. That is we will first call one endpoint that will be used to authenticate it, and even when that is successful, then and only then we will call the internal endpoint that will be just creating the post. Once the post is created, we will just return the like it was successfully created or it failed or not, and then just respond with that. Right. So that is the approach I am thinking of. Um, yeah, that is one approach. The other approach would be the editor, the content user type that will remain the same. We send, but since we have now here we will have SQLite DB in the local storage. Let me ask him: is storing a SQLite file in local storage possible with a static site generator? I want to say or add posts to the DB with an static editor form. Is it a good idea to use that way? I will have authentication like checking the password user entered in the from the DB. I mean, the database couldn't exceed like 10 megabytes. Like that will be the extreme case. It's just a block, so even the larger size block. Okay, maybe if there are media files, then that is one thing. So a cloud function would be a better solution. Yeah, so that cloud may not be the safest one, but it is a solution, I would say, because Shadow Generator doesn't have any, like, there are no stakes involved in there, but if you are using it seriously, then, not seriously, but like something that will cause any harm or loss or something, then that could be an issue. But since we are using authentication, like it is exposed in version control system, but that will be anyways uh, done with GitHub, right? The data will actually be available. The only data we're exposing right now is the author identity, and that identity cannot be stolen that easily because that password will be stored will be encrypted and not as a raw password. So I'm just thinking out loud. I don't know if that could be right or wrong, but that is one solution I'm thinking. I will not implement it currently, but if we are successful in the first attempt, then second attempt could be tried, in my opinion. I just keep it right here. I don't know. I don't want to do it right now. So the first approach is the uh, traditional that will traditional approach that will use cloud functions to trigger this post being saved in the database. So I could try different things. It could be Cloudflare, it could be Netlify, it could be Universal, or what is the other ones? I have tried Cloudflare. I have tried. Okay, Cloudflare doesn't work with Golang. First thing, uh, Vercel works with Golang. Netlify works with Golang. You can choose anything you want. I'm just experimenting with it right now. We will we will explore all three options, but right now I'm sticking to Netlify. Maybe because in Netlify I have one video where I explored a lot of things about Turso and how we can connect it. The video is not out yet. I have not recorded it, but I have done some few experiments with connecting LibSQL database with Netlify. So I'm pretty confident that how to work with that. So we'll use Netlify for now. We'll explore Cloudflare and Vercel in the future. So okay, once we have that, once we are clear what we want to do, now I want to think how we will inject this in our plugin. Now our plugin should not do anything, right? The plugin should not. It's not a plugin really. Okay, it is a plugin. It is a plugin because we want to inject the editor, and the editor should be a template, right? Okay, let's sketch that out. So this editor, now we are thinking about a little deeper. So this will be our editor, and this I'm referring to editor. It's just a page, right? It could be a component. It could be a fragmented like component, like just a simple HTML uh, tag. It could be that as well, but we are serving the entire page, so it will be a HTML file, and that HTML file should have some things in that. In that sense, like it should have the form first of all. Okay, so let me list that down. It will have a form, and that form will have keys like title and on the body. And once you submit the form, it won't call that uh, endpoint directly. It will first try to call one internal or the external endpoint that will be showing the form of uh, author name and password. So once this is so this will be okay. How we'll do that? So once the user fills in title and the body, the user clicks post, and that post will trigger one function. Okay, so that will be JavaScript function. It could be HTMX. Yeah, it could be HTMX right now. I don't know why I like using HTMX, but if it is HTMX, then it will send in. Uh, it needs to pop up, right? Like we could have one pop up that says enter the password and use the author name and password. Once he enters that that password and that button, when the user enters the username and the password, that button that will say authenticate, that button will actually send the actual request to the authentication endpoint. And if that authentication is successful, then and only then we will call the save post uh, function internally. We are not exposing that function outside of it. So that uh, approach looks like. So yeah, so with the plugin, what we need to do is we basically need to write this template, because the plugin, maybe like this is the first step at least to get the editor up and running. Okay, that is that. And what else? So editor will be a HTML file. Then let's say we just completed the authentication. We save the file. Sorry, we save the post in the database, and the database now has the new post in it. Now we could write a plugin that fetches, or okay, that will be quite interesting. Hmm. Uh, what I want to do is, let's say the editor could have, like the editor template could have one more button that will say fetch posts, that will trigger GitHub actions. Now, could we trigger GitHub actions? No, I don't think so. We could do that. Maybe let's ask GPT. Could we do that? I have a editor template that will call a cloud function to save the post written by user in the database. Now I want to render the newly added and post to the site, but uh, it is a static site generator. So how do I add the post in the GitHub repo or any VCS file system? Well, new post is added to the DB workflow. GitHub API, wait, what? GitHub Actions as API? That cannot be. I don't think so. GitHub API to commit a new post. Uh, but how will? Oh, okay. That yeah, that is what that is the thing. But oh no, but that is the point. How could you change that API like the Git? How do you change the Git? How do you make changes in that Git using without using the user consent? Not without user consent, but without interacting with. Okay, why I considered the blocker of GitHub API? Maybe can I? Uh, what I want to add files to GitHub via API. Okay, that looks interesting. It is hard to documentation that is both approachable, but I would want to let's see this. REST API endpoint for repository contents. Oh, okay, we can do that. Actually, that is surprising. Contents. So can we? This is create. Yeah, this is what I wanted. Creating of a file. So create a new file on or replace an existing file repository. Mm, this could be a little. How does it like authenticate it? Like so, curl is accept bear your token. User access token. Okay. GitHub app user access token or create tokens. Uh, yeah, I knew that tokens will be required here, but Like without that, like anybody could do that, but that will be a quite risky thing to do, just like exposing the database. Oh, okay, but we are on the cloud functions. Oh, right, right. We okay, yeah, we can do that environment variable string again to get the token for GitHub as well as turso SQL authentication token. Yeah, solved. So now we will need uh, so this we could change here, right? Like we would do what to first we will create the post in the database, and then if that succeeds, uh, we can do two things here, or one thing in two ways. First thing is if the user has created the post, immediately call off one more function that will be just asynchronous function. We just leave that as it is there, and that request will be sent to one more cloud function that will uh, take in the newly created post ID, and with that ID as a parameter, we will fetch the database for the entire post. And once we have that, we'll construct the file, the markdown file, and with that, we could hit this GitHub endpoint, GitHub API using the token, and some other things which we also need to like pass from the environment variables because we don't want to expose. Um, I mean, yeah, that is inside a cloud function, so that cannot be much of a help there. Okay, and one more thing that this also needs to be validated because we cannot expose this endpoint to the public. This will create a lot of spam maybe, but yeah, that is one thing to keep in mind. Yeah, once we have created that, that is it. I think we will create that file and that's it. And okay, after this, the second approach I would say is just not trigger this immediately. Have one more button called uh, load posts or sync dv. We can change the name of the buttons, but what it will do is just call the same function with the ID that we have fetched from there and use the latest created entry in the database to update the GitHub, the version control system, and create that post. Once that is done, we need to we can set up a GitHub workflow that will say when the post was created. Then I think we had it somewhere, right? Someone where yeah, GitHub only. Sorry, the ChatGPT also suggested that when there is a push to the branch with the within the specific path, we need to trigger this build that will be basically checking out, okay, installed, yeah, maybe deploy to Netlify or run the static site generator. And yeah, that should be it. So we now need three things in the plugin: the editor, the GitHub trigger, the GitHub uh, endpoint, sorry, the GitHub part that will save the post to a file in the GitHub, and the third part will be the workflow. I mean, workflow couldn't be a part of this, but yeah, that let's get started. So, is it too zoomed in? I think it's too zoomed in, right? Yeah, this looks better. And yeah, let us get started. I'll call this .db. Let's let's call it db anyways. And here we need to do a few things. Um, what was the other thing? The GitHub part that will be cloud sync. I'm a little bit scared here because this will create a lot of disconnect. Disconnect as in we are relying too much on cloud functions. Anyways, let's not fear and it's created despite of the fear. And let me create a template here itself because we can increase a template here. So we'll call it Java editor template. So wow, so we don't need this. We'll just keep the title and the content, and yeah, method is post. So once that is created, we'll get into the details of this. But the main thing is to render this out. That is to get this thing from that. So I'll create a template path which will be SSG dot go where's this feed code template. Okay, what did you do? Take the bytes buffer and template execute buffer. SSG, we are passing the bool reference to the SSG so that we could use the entire object out. That could be a handy thing. Okay, let me run this and let's check it out if that works. And let us remove the hello file because that is doing no good to us. And let us remove it from here. And now we only have one external file, one external package, sorry. So, okay, template is undefined. That is here. So, how did we do it in here? Let me check that out quickly. So it should be in render templates, and here you would see the output path is using this. Okay, no, actually this one. DRLS paths. SSG dot fs dot fs is also okay. It's not okay. It's too big. Okay, not here. Here we have used and somewhere here we have used that read template. No, not this, not this, not this. Yeah, here. So this will be SSG dot ss this. Okay, now let's check it out. On main plugin. So buffer. What is a buffer? Yeah, 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 yeah. Template slash star HTML. Okay, that worked maybe. Slash editor. Come on, guys, no first try. Um, so, so what did we miss? We didn't even create this public editor of HTML. Oh, it's editor of HTML. Uh, okay. Yep. Yeah, that is working now. So that is pretty simple. Pretty simple actually. Okay, so we have done the most of the part of this plugin. We just now need to get this to be working in the way that we are intending it to. So that should have a submit button that will call that endpoint. And right now we could do one thing, which is to spawn up an API, which will be later on used with a cloud function. So what I would like to do is create this API in such a way that is very easy to just uh, copy it to an Netlify function or any function, cloud function. There will be a lot of like nitty-gritties involved in doing migration from cloud functions because every provider, that is Vercel, Netlify or Cloudflare, does uh, specific things which are very kind of annoying at points to use the response request and response objects in very weird ways. So yeah, let's not think about that and create one API that will be using one database and it will populate the database from that. So how do we do is we will first create a few functions and what those will do is it will sanitize the input, authenticate the user, and if and basically send the post request for the creation of the row in the database in the post table or any table that we have been. So we'll use some JSON structure that will determine which table to insert into. It will be usually one table, but could could change that. So let us first think about the database schema because that will be important in how we approach things here. Now we need a database schema here for the static site generation. Not really, yeah, generation. So let's say we will for sure need uh, a table called users or authors, which will have name, which would have password, hash, and one more thing called is admin, false by default. What else we will need here? Maybe we could add few things that will be not important. That is the metadata about user, bio, links, GitHub handle, etc. etc. That is not required. Anyways, that is the authors table. Now, second thing is a little tricky. I'm not sure how I approach this. We could have a singular post table, and we can have a type called type. Sorry, a column called type, where we can filter out the posts used with that type, or we could use separate tables for each of the types. Both of them are valid. It depends on the scale that we are using it, because if there are thousands and thousands of posts, uh, you know what? There will never be thousands or thousands of posts. So let's stick to a singular post table, and this will have title, of course. I did by default it's SQLite, so it's not a problem. Title, the uh, slug, that is the URL short. Um, Subtitle or description, whatever you want to call it. Then the content. Now this is a little tricky. Do we store the content as it is, or do we take out the metadata from the front matter and keep them as separate fields or columns in this table? I think we'll go with just dumping out the JSON plus content as it is, because there will be issues with the um, with what we call the name of the fields in the front matter and what we are storing in the database. So let's keep that inside of content itself, and we'll on the fly uh, sort like process that content into front matter and markdown. At least we could do one thing. We could separate out the front matter, or I will call it metadata, and the actual content. This way we'll have a lot of easier way to do that. And yeah, that is what I am thinking of. Subtitle we can remove it. Maybe, maybe yeah. And we need metadata. We will need the slug. We need the title. Yeah, maybe we don't need title, but let's keep that. We might need date. Yeah, because that will be quite handy in sorting out in date. And we'll also store in one-to-many relationship with author ID. This will be a key, so I'm representing it as this one. I'm representing this for this way. Sorry, multiple posts could be from one author, but one post cannot have multiple authors. We can do that, not saying not to that, but let's keep it simple. What else? That's it. Yeah, I think this is the most heavy lifting that we could do for the schema. Other things could be changed on the fly. We have SQLC for that, or goose for that. Sorry. Uh, let's start to write this. I am live, right? Right now I realize that screen that is gave itself. Uh, I am live. Yeah, I'm live. Yeah, so how do we start? The first thing we will need is authentication straight away, right? So let's think from the last. Let's think from the first thing that we'll do when we hit the button, the submit button, that is create post button. That will not actually create the post, but it will first send the request to authenticate. So let's create a function called what? No, we'll call a function called authenticate. Authenticate that will take in the body, which will be, is it a list of bytes? Maybe, and will return boolean. Yeah, let's go. Return false by default, aggressive, and let's create a structure. This will have the name. Yeah, 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 yeah. Just keep name and password for now. And author should not be authored. It will be author payload. Uh, you know what? We call it TB. Sorry, post payload. Sorry, not post payload. It will be uh, payload because this will be a singular payload that will be used with that, and we'll also have post payload, which yeah, let's go with string. Let's go with title, and yeah, that will be it. For the first part, we will need to okay, that is done. The most of the part here for me. Jason, yeah, we need to unmarshal this. So what are we doing for the people who don't know? Why is Jason not coming in, boy? Encoding. So what are we doing here is body will be a list of bytes, slices of bytes, and what we need to do is we need to convert that byte into some form of structure that we could use easily with Golang, and that's what Marshall does. It takes in the bytes and give out or returns. It doesn't return, but it populates or notates the value. So here in this case, we are sending the payload as a reference, and this payload is of type the payload that we have constructed here. It is a structure, and we want this list of bytes that is the body to be populated in such a way that it is accessible with this payload variable of type payload. So after this marshalling, what we could do is we could say payload dot why is LSP not working? So you could see here payload. Wait, where is the issue here? So you could see payload. Yeah. So now if you see payload has attributes like this title, name, post, password, and we could use this to sort of send it to other APIs. First, we'll call the authenticate function that will take in the bytes and will first. Okay, now since I've done this, let's not call it authenticate, call it create or post handler. Yeah, that sounds good. And now we need to do few things, which will be to authenticate, then create the post, and here I'll call the function authenticate. Let's call it authenticate. It will be lowercase a because I want to keep it private. And I will take in the body, which is okay, not body. Let's call it payload. If you have type payload because now we have unmarshaled it or serialized and deserialized. I don't know what it's called, but let's call it false. And let's not return anything from this. If now we need a DB here, because avoiding the way where we can avoid, we can not call the yeah, this won't be a boolean, it will just be a post. Will return the integer or an error. Yes, so that will be the body of data what I'm writing right now, but so let's not create, I will just spawn up one thing which will be SQLD. I don't want to run that. Okay, that has been up and running. I will create one more tab here and LibSQL. No, wait, what is what? Turso shell. Yeah, turso shell, turso DB shell. Yeah, and now you would see that the schema currently is empty. I'll create a table. Create. Actually, yeah, it's a service generator, so I can't do much there. Actually, let's do that. Let's write it inside of plugins, and I'll call it DB. create a table if not exist called authors, and this will have what? ID, primary key, username. We don't need username, we need text. And what else we will need? Here's admin. And so yeah, SQLite has Boolean, right? Maybe it doesn't. Oh yeah, what else you were thinking? Yeah, that is it. So that will be the first one. So create table if not exist authors. ID, integer, primary key, auto increment, and one more. Create table if not exists. The posts. So this will have for sure ID, create and date type, title, body, text, correct slug. So these are the two schemas that I am going to create. And let me quickly go to one of the files. I don't know where I kept that. It should be uh, LibSQL local, LibSQL C, and you can see I've created the schema.sql, and SQL C YAML is this. Yeah, let me go here and just create this coordinate LibSQL SSG. So get author beyond king of miracle, you want to authenticate author. Yeah, that looks good. Schema as well director. Schema. Wait, hold on. Hold on. Let me know if there's a lot of noise in the background. I think there will be a little bit of noise. Yeah, there is a lot of noise. What could I do now? Switch on the other ones. Anyways, this is quite annoying to me as well. I'll keep my mute off. Maybe. Microphone off like this. Or I'll lower down my volume. Okay, so if that sounds a little better, then let me know. So, and plugins in the DB we have scheme aware. Okay, password hash do not exist. Uh, yeah. Password does not what? Did I not store password? Email doesn't exist. Come on. Who said that was email? Okay, it has generated few things. Let's see if that is indeed correct. db.co, models.co, query.sql, maybe.co. I need to change a few things here. Maybe not, maybe yeah. It is fine, I think, for the most part. And okay, okay. Um, so what I did here, I am gonna cheat a little bit. I am gonna copy this because that is what it is. That's how software is built. Come on. Throw this out. We don't have a SQL driver yet, but yeah, we'll create shortly. Now I need to import the DB. Could I import the DB? Okay, let me think how we would import this here. So we are using this. That is the other thing. And this is not the actual one, I think. Yeah, this looks good. Use models. Queries. How do we get the queries? Models.new. Okay. Okay. Uh, Let me install this LibSQL. So let me import the Golang SDK. We'll stick with this. That's what we use, right? Client code, yeah. And that is that. Yeah. And after you authenticate here, I want to call the queries as models.newDB. Is it not? Oh, okay. Models is that. Not really bad. Bad, 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 bad. Okay. Queries declared are not used. Whatever. So if I just right now just do package command line is not in this. Um, 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 I mean, it is a module, so oh, okay, if you now see here, not here, bro, just right here, and if you see schema, okay, okay, uh, maybe we have not even run, did we ran that, bro? Right, did I? Okay, once we have this, I need to use this. This will basically create um, where it is over here. Okay, so the URL, we get that, we get this, and okay, we need context to run this. db, okay, db, what is db in this case? Okay, it is directly open the file, so we need to do it a little down the order. Just right here and define ddl Golang. It is a string, right? And once that could be done, return false. Did we run it though? Because yeah, I am logging out a few things and I'm not actually doing this thing here. I'm never calling the authenticate, so that doesn't even make sense. You know what? Not yet. Okay. What am I missing here? So post handler. Oh yeah, we need to call the post handler. Yeah, let's call that byte. Um, calling post handler. So right, we are doing things correct. Let's go into the post handler and then at least print this payload to indicate that we are indeed calling that. And yeah, we are indeed calling this. So what happens with the authentication maybe, and we are opening the DB connection, and what happens here is we are using the LibSQL driver to connect the database, and let's log this out if anything goes here. DB connected, because if it would have failed, it would have not even called this. So DB connected, but everything looks nil. So does that mean it is failed to open connection? Context.background db execute context. I think we can check that now. Yeah, that is created, guys. And now I need to check if let's do this, guys. We are so close. So um, I need one thing here quickly. SQLite MD5 to hash a string. Will it have this though? Maybe not. Probably not. Yeah, thank you. Uh, what I'm thinking here is we can add um, one more endpoint that will create the author or user. That will be quite easy to do, but exposing that will be a tricky thing to do. How much time it is? I think I that is for today. I need to do a few more things. I am working on one video that will be coming out today or tomorrow, depending on how I complete that. That will be on weak pointers. If you're not familiar with, okay, you might not be familiar with it because it is a newly released package in Golang 1.24. So I've experimented with a few things and I understood it what it is, and it's quite handy to be honest. It is really handy when you uh, don't want to have some kind of pointers and you accidentally release like garbage collection collector actually collected the nil references. In that case, weak pointers could be helpful. They will still have nil values, but you can uh, prevent reaching that stage by using weak pointers that as a like uh, alternative to avoid nil reference errors. So I'm looking into just creating a video for this, and we'll be posting it up today or tomorrow. Let's see how it goes. And that is for today. We have done most of the not most things, but we have laid out the plan that we want to do here, and this looks pretty good, right? I have done most of the things. this schema is up and running, where if we are able to connect to the database with our own plugin, and that is a good thing. And with that, we will be trying to complete this like flow, and then try to uh, integrate with cloud functions, because that will be a little simple thing to do, because we just need to call the functions that we will write in a specific order. That should not be much of a deal. Yeah, let's see how that goes, and we'll catch up in the next week, Saturday, and that will be completing this plugin for database, and we should be completing this and hopefully starting with the cloud functions deployment and testing it out on the real app in the real deployed versions. So that's it for today. We'll catch up in next week. Thank you. Bye.